Hola, good people. Sean, welcome here. Welcome to another episode of Spoken Word Tip Tuesday. So today I want to break down the difference between an open mic night and a poetry slam. Now, for those of you who are already seeped in the culture, like you've been to open mic poetry nights, you've been to poetry slams, like this is going to sound a little elementary to you, but my overall point and my overall tip for those of you, whether you're seasoned or you're a new writer or performer, is exposure. It is so key to anybody's success, specifically in the spoken word poetry space. There's a podcast that I frequently listen to called the Secrets of Success podcast. I'm a huge fan. But one of the gentlemen on that pod, his name is Jamal King. He always says your level of exposure will determine your level of success. And I think that's also true for this art form. So open mic nights, let's start with that. Open mic nights are fluid. And what I mean by that is the artists that perform there are not under any sort of like pressure to perform. It's really kind of out of their own willingness and desire to share their experiences, right? Their breakups, their pain points, their victories, their sexual experiences, their whatever it is. Like it runs the gamut, right? And you get to see a lot of people's just authentic selves and how their art form is really just kind of like an extension of things that they're either processing or working on. Like a lot of poets maybe just try to entertain people as well, right? So it may come out like a rap or whatever it is, right? And so the pro for an open mic night is that you do get people's mostly like their authentic selves, right? Because there's not necessarily kind of like pressure to perform. It's they're just willing to do it. The downside is that you get a little bit of a mixed bag of, I guess, like quality performance, right? Some people might be reading their poems for the first time and they're all shaky, or since the emphasis is not on like the stakes are low, you just kind of get a mixed bag, right? And for those that are looking to see what spoken word is about, may come across like quote unquote an amateur and then judge the whole art form based on that that experience, right? So I don't know if y'all seen there's a scene in Meet the Fockers where the character that plays Ben Stiller's dad, and if you haven't seen this movie, the reference will probably go over your head, but he has this wall called the Wall of Gaylord, and it has all of his son Ben Stiller's accomplishments that he's ever had, like on this wall, right? So on it there's a 9th place ribbon like on the wall, and then Ben Stiller's girlfriend's dad, who's Robert De Niro plays, he comes in and goes, I didn't know they made 9th place ribbons. And then the other dad goes, yeah, it goes all the way up to 10th, right? And so anyway, it's just kind of this thing where like everybody gets a participation trophy. Everybody gets a ribbon, everyone gets a pass, everyone's like super supportive, mostly at open mic nights, regardless of what you do or like how it comes out, right? So that might be kind of like the downside, I guess, if you're looking at it from like a quality performance standpoint. On the flip side, poetry slams are very structured, right? There's rules, there's a time limit, you're being judged with numbers based on the delivery of that poem. And so while open mics are fluid, poetry slams are very structured, and the benefit or the pro for it, for one, is you get to be exposed to people having practiced what they are about to deliver, right? And you don't always get that in an open mic setting, right? So you get to see like a more intentional sort of delivery of both content and the delivery of that content, which can maybe trigger in you of what you might be able to do with your own work if you're trying to pursue like quality performance, right? You're exposed to other people doing it. The downside or the con for poetry slams is because the stakes are high and egos are on the line, or maybe money's on the line, you might lose some of the authenticity of a particular poet's performance, right? Because the motivations sort of shift from I'm just doing this because I want this to be out, to I'm doing this for money, or I'm doing this for pride or my ego or whatever, right? So and it'll like come across as more theatrical than maybe necessary for the context. So yeah, and it kind of like brings the best and the worst out of people, right? And if you've ever been in those environments, you know what I'm talking about. But I think overall exposure to both of those environments, the open mic where it's just kind of a little bit more laid back and people are very supportive, and when it's a competition, shout out, we're actually having one tonight at Downtown Credo, but if you follow my social media feed, you know that already. The poetry slam is like stakes are on the line, and like we're here to do a job. Somebody's gonna win, somebody's gonna lose, right? People winning prizes, some people not, right? Exposure to both of those, I think, helps us to become better writers, better performers. And there's only so much that I can do or offer in terms of suggestions to make people better writers or better performers. But I can say that exposure to diverse environments of performance will inspire your maximum like potential in that space. And I know for me, when I was exposed to National Poetry Slam in 2006, it shifted the trajectory of my life. Like being exposed to poets from all over the country, performing on its highest level was just a huge game changer for me. So exposure. Your level of exposure, to quote Jamal King, will determine your level of success. And I know not everyone's trying to do it, but if you are trying to write and perform in advance, you got to intentionally like seek out these places and give it a few, chances to see what it does inside of you. All right. So I hope that was helpful to somebody out there. Till next Tuesday, peace, love, and poetry.